Sertraline. You probably know it by its brand name, Zoloft. So you've heard the name, right? But what does it actually do? Well, that's what we're here for. We're going to break down one of the biggest players in mental health medication. This is your user's guide, simple, straightforward, covering how it works, who it's for, and what you can expect. And look, it's hard to overstate just how significant this medication is. We're not talking about some obscure drug here. This is one of the most widely prescribed psychotropic medications on the entire planet. So when you understand sertraline, you're really understanding a tool that millions, and I mean millions, of people rely on every single day. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the basics, what sertraline even is and how it works. Then we'll dive into who it's for, what those first few weeks are like, some really important safety info, and wrap up by looking at its role in the bigger picture. All right, let's jump right in. First up, what exactly is sertraline? Let's get a nice, clear definition down. Okay, so at its core, sertraline is part of a family of drugs called Selective Serotonin Reuptake inhibitors. Yeah, that's a mouthful, so everyone just calls them SSRIs. And their main job? It's all about working on the chemical messengers in your brain, the neurotransmitters, to help treat things like depression, anxiety, and a bunch of other conditions. Okay, so we know it's an SSRI, but how does it actually, work? To really get it, we need to peek under the hood and look at what's happening with the brain's chemistry. To get sertraline, you first gotta get serotonin. Just think of serotonin as the brain's mood messenger. It's this super important chemical that helps regulate, well, a lot. We're talking mood, emotions, sleep, anxiety, the works. And the thinking is, when this messenger system is out of whack, it can be linked to conditions like depression. So here's the play-by-play. Picture a brain cell, a neuron, releasing some serotonin to send a message to another cell. Hello, right? After that message gets delivered, the first cell starts to kind of vacuum up the leftover serotonin. That process is called reuptake. Now, this is where sertraline steps in. It basically stands in front of the vacuum and blocks it. The result? More serotonin hangs around, available to keep that positive message going, making the signal stronger and last longer. Yeah, by blocking that reuptake, it allows more serotonin to remain available for a longer duration. And this is such a key point. The drug doesn't make more serotonin. It's not creating it out of thin air. It just makes the serotonin you've already got work better, more efficiently. And hey, that's exactly where the name comes from. It selectively inhibits the reuptake of serotonin. See, it all clicks. Okay, so we've got the how down. Now let's talk about the who. Who is this tool actually for? You might be surprised by just how broad the approved uses are. Everyone knows it for treating major depressive disorder, right? That's its claim to fame. But the FDA has actually given it the green light for a whole host of other conditions. We're talking obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD, panic disorder, social anxiety, PTSD, and even premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMD. It's this versatility that makes it one of the go-to prescriptions out there. All right, let's get practical. If you're starting on this medication or know someone who is, those first few weeks are a really big deal, so it's super important to know what to expect. Pretty much every doctor will follow the same mantra: start low and go slow. Treatment almost always kicks off with a really small dose, think 25 or 50 milligrams. This just lets your body get used to it. From there, your doctor will slowly, gradually ramp it up based on how you're feeling and how you're tolerating it. Okay, this next part is maybe the most important thing to hear. Sertraline does not work overnight. It just doesn't. This is a game of patience. You might start to feel some improvement in maybe 2 to 4 weeks, but the full, real benefits, that can often take 6 to 8 weeks. And why is that? Well, it's not like flipping a light switch. You're giving your brain time to physically adapt, to build new connections in response to that extra serotonin. So sticking with it, being consistent, is everything. And of course, we gotta talk about side effects. It's really, really important to split these into 2 camps. First, you have the common stuff, things like nausea, headaches, maybe some drowsiness. A lot of the time, these will fade away as your body gets used to the medication. But then there's the other category, rare but serious side effects. Things like extreme agitation or confusion. That could be a sign of something called serotonin syndrome, which is a big deal. Or, and this is critical, any increase in suicidal thoughts, especially in people under 25. These are not wait-and-see situations. These require immediate medical help. And that brings us to our next section, all about safety. And honestly, this stuff is non-negotiable. Understanding these precautions is absolutely essential. Okay, let me be super clear on this one. You cannot just stop taking sertraline cold turkey. It's a huge mistake. If you do, you risk something called discontinuation syndrome. Basically, your body goes into withdrawal, and you can get hit with dizziness, nausea, and these really weird sensations people call brain zaps. The only safe way to come off it is to taper. That means gradually, slowly reducing the dose with your doctor guiding you every step of the way. Another big one is drug interactions. Some combinations are just flat out dangerous. For example, mixing sertraline with a class of drugs called MAOIs? Absolutely not. That's a huge no-go. You also need to be really careful with other things that boost serotonin, like the supplement St. John's wort, or even blood thinners. The bottom line here is simple. Your doctor needs to know about every single thing you take. Every prescription, every over-the-counter pill, every supplement, everything. All right, for our last section, let's zoom out a bit and look at the bigger picture, because it's so important to frame this correctly. Sertraline isn't a magic cure. It's a tool, a very, very powerful tool. You know, a pill by itself is rarely the complete answer. The research is super clear on this. Medication works best when it's paired with other things, especially psychotherapy, like cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. Think of it this way. The sertraline can help dial down the symptoms, which then makes it possible for you to really dig in and get the most out of the work you're doing in therapy. And that right there brings us to what is, without a doubt, the single most important takeaway from all of this. Ready? Every single decision about this medication, whether it's starting it, changing your dose, or stopping it, has to be made with a qualified healthcare professional, period. Trying to go it alone is not just a bad idea, it can be downright dangerous. This is one of those journeys where you absolutely need an experienced guide. So at the end of the day, sertraline is a tool. It's a tool designed to help rebalance the incredibly complex chemistry of the human brain. And that kind of leaves us with one final question to think about, doesn't it? If a medication can help rebalance the brain, what can we do, all of us, to help rebalance our lives?